Hey everybody, wanted to just quickly welcome you and thank you for joining. We have a bunch of people dialing in right now, um, as is typically the case. So we're actually going to give it about another 2 minutes since we've looks like the majority of folks are just kind of starting to get here now. So please bear with us, and about another 2 minutes we'll get started here. All right. Well, I think it looks like we still have a couple more people coming in as we go, but definitely want to get started with this. And first, want to welcome everybody to today's presentation on creating a new profit center from Unneeded Life Insurance Policies. And as a note, we're recording this session here, so we'll be sending an email tomorrow. Actually, that includes a link to the video replay of this, so that's something that you'll be receiving, and something you can forward on to anyone else you think might like it as well. We are reserving some time here at the end of the presentation for questions and answers as well. So as we get going through this presentation, if you have any questions at all, please submit them in the questions box, and I'll be taking note of those, and at the end of the presentation, we'll address as many of those as we can. So today's webinar session is presented by one of the top experts in the field here. We have Chris Orestis. He's the Executive Vice President of GWG Life, which is one of the largest secondary market buyers of life insurance policies in the market, and it's a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. Chris is an author, speaker, nationally known industry expert. He's been in the insurance industry for over 20 years, first in Washington, D.C. as a lobbyist for the life and health industry, and then as the founder and CEO of Life Care Funding, where he pioneered the use of life settlements as a tool to pay for long-term care before he ended up merging his company with GWG. So Chris, as the Executive Vice President of GWG, for everyone here that's not fully aware, but GWG is the biggest life settlement company in the market. They've changed the industry with the life care exchange platform for agents. And on this webinar, we're going to learn more about how this platform has opened up the settlement market to agents with the ability to submit cases directly to the buyer without the need for a settlement broker. So I'll let Chris give us all the details on this. Why don't you take it away, Chris? I'll hand it over here.
Justin, thank you. Thank you for having me today. I want to thank everybody for taking time this afternoon to join us to listen and learn more about what we're doing, GWG Life, with the Life Care Exchange, and how we've created a tool for agents and advisors to have a turnkey settlement solution in their toolkit added to their practice to be able to quickly and easily help clients, or possibly even your clients' parents that might have a financial need and still own a life insurance policy that they've paid premiums on for years, and giving them an alternative to lapsing or surrendering that policy by considering the secondary market value of that life insurance policy, which oftentimes can be much greater than cash surrender value. And certainly anything is better than lapsing a policy after years of making premium payments. So I want to talk today about how this solution works, how it can help your clients, how you can integrate it into your practice, and not only bring a new profit center into your business, but bring new solutions to your clients, which as they're aging and confronting the unique financial challenges of becoming seniors, of seeing declining health, how this is one of those missing link tools that really every agent needs to have in their toolbox. Let me start by giving you a glance at who GWG Life is. GWG, founded in 2006, is a publicly traded company. We're on the NASDAQ stock exchange under the ticker symbol GWGH. Over the last decade, we've purchased about $3 billion of life insurance policies, and currently have close to $2 billion of in-force policies that are in our asset portfolio. We purchase life insurance policies, and then we hold those policies and we keep them. We don't trade them. We're not a broker. We are the buyer, the end buyer of policies. And as you can see here on this graph of policies that we've purchased over the years, sort of the sweet spot is the age range of 75 to around upper 80s, 85 to 89 range. What we focus on is helping people deal with what's known in this country as the silent crisis. And it's a crisis driven by seniors who have failed to plan or adequately plan for the reality of the costs of their future when it comes to retirement, and then compounded by growing costs around health care and possibly long-term care needs. This is just an issue that too many families avoid until all of a sudden they're in a crisis situation and they're trying to figure out, what are we going to do to help ourselves or help mom and dad? And with 10,000 baby boomers a day in this country turning 65, and 70% or more of them ultimately are going to need some form of long-term care services, which can be incredibly expensive, there becomes a real grab for solutions. How do we address this? If we haven't bought long-term care insurance, if we don't have adequate income and assets to self-insure, what do we do? Well, one of the things a lot of people do in this country is they look to Medicaid, and they'll spend down their assets to qualify for Medicaid. And one of those assets that people have to get rid of, which is a disqualifying asset for Medicaid eligibility, is a life insurance policy. Almost 40% of people who apply for Medicaid in this country have a life insurance policy that they'll potentially abandon as part of their strategy to get onto Medicaid. I'm going to show you a couple of statistics I think that are very compelling and very enlightening when you want to start to understand the size of this marketplace, the size of the challenge to confronting the crisis in this country, but also the size of the opportunity that is there for agents and advisors. As it stands today, there's less than 8 million in-force long-term care insurance policies in this country. By comparison, there's over 150 million in-force life insurance policies with over $12 trillion of in-force death benefit. But the crisis when it comes to seniors in particular who own life insurance policies is that upwards of 9 out of 10 life insurance policy owners, universal life insurance policy owners specifically, will abandon their policy before it ever pays out a death benefit. You have an enormous amount of life insurance policies that are purchased in this country that are abandoned by lapsing or surrendering over the course of the years of somebody making premium payments before they ever pay out a death benefit. And there's an inordinate number of those people abandoning policies that are seniors. On an annual basis, you have in the neighborhood of $230 billion of death benefit on an annual basis owned by seniors who could potentially qualify to settle their policy in the secondary market for something possibly greater than cash surrender value, and again, much greater than if they were to just lapse their policy. Now, GWG, for example, over the last decade, we have purchased $3 billion of death benefit for $565 million of exchange value back to those policyholders. And those are policyholders that were looking at either lapsing or surrendering those policies. Now, of that $565 million in value paid to those policyholders, compare that to those same policies that had cash surrender value. $46 million of cash surrender value was available to those same policyholders who instead received over 10 times that amount of value through the secondary market by settling their policies. So let's take a minute to walk through an example of how Life Care Exchange works. Who's going to qualify for using this solution, and what are examples of how this works? Well, let's take sort of an average case sample, a average policyholder that we would see over the course of a week, when we literally see hundreds of cases coming in over the course of a week, of a month. This would be sort of a typical scenario. Somebody who's, say, in their 80s, 80 years old, with impaired health conditions. It's a universal life policy with $1 million death benefit and $20,000 of cash surrender value. Now let's take a look at what this might open up for available options using the Life Care Exchange, because with GWG Life and the Life Care Exchange, we do more than just give one simple life settlement solution, and that being a cash payout. We actually have a number of different options that agents working with Life Care Exchange can use to build the right solution for their client. One option they might want to consider is a retained death benefit. Maybe they don't want to continue paying premiums, but they don't want to let go of the death benefit either. Well, for this average case scenario, this person might be in the neighborhood of qualifying for an ongoing retained death benefit of $300,000 of death benefit without making any more premium payments. Or maybe they're worried about outliving their income and they're trying to figure out how to create an ongoing revenue stream. Well, maybe they settle their policy and then, working with their advisor, enroll the settlement funds into an annuity to guarantee an ongoing income stream for the rest of their lives. Or let's say they have an immediate need to address long-term care. They could take their settlement proceeds, and in this case, either the annuity or the long-term care benefit option, they'd be looking at $225,000 of exchange value. They could put into what's called a long-term care benefit account. It is a bank trust account. It's an irrevocable bank account specifically set up to hold the proceeds of the settlement and make monthly payments at any amount they need to any form of care they want. This is a tax-advantage long-term care benefit. Think of it kind of like a long-term care HSA. It's not an HSA, but there's some similarities to how it's structured and how it works, creating a unique way to address long-term care needs at the time that they're needed. You don't have to wait to qualify. As soon as you do your settlement, the funds are available then to put into your long-term care benefit at a tax-advantage status and start making those payments to long-term care needs, any amount for any kind of care. Or they may decide they just want to take the lump sum settlement and take cash without any restrictions on how it's going to be used. Now, across these 4 Life Care Exchange options, you can mix and match these solutions. You might decide to take a portion as a lump sum of cash and put a portion into the annuity or a portion into the long-term care benefit. Maybe you're going to take the retained death benefit, but less of the retained death benefit and some of it in cash. You can mix and match these options to create the best solution for your client's unique needs. And in all of these options, we have obviously done much better, 10 times or more better than the cash surrender value. And last but not least, we've eliminated the premium payments. On a policy like this, it could easily be $30,000 a year. So you've saved your client the premium payments, you've done 10 times better than the cash surrender value, and you've opened up a variety of solutions to meet their unique needs. So who exactly would qualify to use the Life Care Exchange as a solution? Well, let's start with the minimum age, and it's somebody who's going to be 70 and above. We want to make sure that we're working with people who, based on age and their healthcare needs, are going to be the right match for the settlement solution. In fact, think of this like reverse underwriting. The older and sicker somebody is, the more they're going to get for value out of using the settlement option and accessing these Life Care Exchange options. If somebody's too young and too healthy, they're just not going to qualify yet. This is definitely for the older clients and those that are now starting to confront some real impaired health conditions. The minimum policy size is going to be $100,000 of face value, and the typical policy type is going to be either a universal life policy or a term life policy, and most often a convertible term life policy. So this is your minimum standards you want to be working with clients and considering for those clients that will qualify to use this Life Care Exchange program. Using the Life Care Exchange program is putting you in a position where at no cost you're accessing a turnkey business solution, a back office that immediately gives you access to the settlement market where you really are going to be doing a minimal amount of work. This is a way to create a recurring revenue stream in your practice. What the Life Care Exchange is built to do is to be a ongoing offering in your practice, not a one-off, once in a blue moon unicorn transaction where maybe once every 5 years somebody asks you if you know something about a life settlement. This is a program that is designed and built just like a carrier bringing out a life insurance product or an annuity product or a long-term care insurance product, what have you. This is built and supported exactly the same way, packaged exactly the same way, so that you can be offering this on a regular basis, creating a recurring revenue stream, turning old clients into new leads, clients that already own a life insurance policy. With Life Care Exchange, you're not asking anybody to spend any money. Nobody is paying a premium. They're actually getting the maximum value from the secondary market that they can obtain for an asset they already own and one that they've made premium payments on for years. This is also a way to open up ancillary opportunities, because if you can help your clients or your clients' senior parents with a unique solution like this to address their problem, you're going to be building trust because you're bringing something unique to the table. This is something new and different to be talking about, a new solution, a new approach to the market that will open up more opportunities for you across your clients and their extended relationships. You get to leverage our back office, our support, and turn your book of business into this profit center. We will help you as your lapse prevention office. As policies start popping up from senior clients who are thinking about lapsing or surrendering, this gives you an option to give them something before they would needlessly abandon a policy. And we have a full field support package for you, marketing, case support, account execs that work with every agent that's appointed in our system so that you have full turnkey concierge support to use this program effectively, where you can focus on education and awareness with your clients, pass that off to us, and then let us do the hard work to take the settlement process through to completion. So let's take a minute to talk about the legal aspect of settlements and some of the regulatory issues that you want to be aware of. This is important information, and as an agent advisor, important that you understand that first and foremost, a life insurance policy is recognized as a legal asset. The status of a life insurance policy as personal property goes back to a Supreme Court decision in 1911, over 100 years ago. So when you're talking about a life insurance policy, look at it, think about it similarly to a home. They're both recognized equally as personal property, as an asset. And just like with a home that you make mortgage payments on for years, you wouldn't one day just drop your keys in the driveway, walk off, and abandon your property. You would sell it if you were done with that asset for its market value and work with professionals in the marketplace that know how to get that process done. Well, it's the same thing for a life insurance policy. After years of premium payments, the owner shouldn't abandon that asset, shouldn't walk away from it without first understanding what is the market value of that asset. What are the best options for getting the most out of that asset to address your needs, and working with the right professionals to get that job done and get it done correctly. Today's life settlement marketplace is a very well-regulated, uniform standards marketplace across the country with consumer protection, disclosure requirements, NAIC model regulations. For the most part, are standardized and in place in 45 out of 50 states in this country, covering 90% of the U.S. population. So you have a very mainstream, well-regulated marketplace protecting consumers, ensuring standards across the board for advisors, licensing requirements that are applicable, and you can rest assured that you're operating in a well-controlled environment in today's modern life settlement regulatory framework. A couple of interesting developments along the regulatory front that have emerged over the last couple of years. The summer of 2017, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners issued a paper talking about private market options to help seniors finance long-term care. And in this paper, they specifically discuss the effectiveness of the life settlement market as a tool to help people get the maximum value of a life insurance policy that they could then use for long-term care. And in this paper, they actually specifically mention GWG Life and talk about the long-term care benefit option that I described to you, where a settlement can be put into a dedicated bank account to protect the money in a tax-advantaged account that then is paid out directly to the care provider. And the NAIC thinks that this is a great model. Now, that idea has even now gotten to the point where a bill has been introduced in Congress by members of the House Ways and Means Committee looking for an official change in the IRS tax code to create a tax-free long-term care benefit account specifically funded by life settlements that would act and look a lot like a long-term care health savings account. And it's estimated, if this bill passes this year as part of a tax or health care package, that it could save taxpayers $2 billion or more over the next decade, because it would keep people off of Medicaid longer by giving them a new option to extend their ability to be private pay through their life insurance policy converted through a life settlement into a long-term care benefit. Tax treatment for life settlements is something else you want to be aware of. Under HIPAA, life settlements done by somebody who is diagnosed as either terminal or chronic in their conditions is actually a tax-free event. So if somebody is looking to use a life settlement and they have a terminal diagnosis or a chronic diagnosis, which usually would mean they're going in the direction of long-term care services, that settlement is actually tax-free. Now, for anybody else who's doing a life settlement who doesn't share in that kind of a condition, then new changes in the 2017 Tax Reform Act has put the treatment of capital gain of a life settlement equal to capital gain from cash surrender value. So you would simply look at your basis in a life insurance policy, which is what you've paid in premiums, and anything you would receive in a life settlement above that would be considered a capital gain and taxed at capital gain rates. So you have some very advantageous tax treatment for life settlements that you want to be aware of. Now, I think it's also very important to be aware of potential fiduciary-related liabilities. And there have been some lawsuits brought by policyholders against insurance companies and their advisors for not informing them about their right to use and look at a life settlement. And this case, which was reported on a couple of years ago, actually now going back to 2014, got a lot of attention because this was a significant lawsuit filed over a couple who was denied the information about accessing the life settlement marketplace. Going back to 2011, there's been 3 settled cases, all stemming from the same legal framework of a agent, advisor, withholding information either intentionally or unintentionally from their client about their potential ability to access the life settlement marketplace, and the policyholders then coming back around and holding their advisor and the insurance company liable with damages for having withheld that information from them. So what we're focused on with GWG Life and working with agents and advisors is changing the life settlement market from the old life settlement market model to a new life settlement model that we primarily focus on. The old model is a broker-driven marketplace where settlement brokers would stand, quite frankly, between you and us. You as the advisor working with clients and us as the settlement buyer. Licensed life settlement brokers would bring the case from you to us. We would then price it, give an offer back to the broker who would take a not small commission out of the offer and then bring it back to you to present to the client. In the new model, we work with agents direct. You on this call today, agents, advisors, would work with us direct with no need for a broker intermediary between us. We pay out a fixed referral fee that is based on the death benefit of the policy. So there's no commission coming out of the offer. In fact, our program, the Life Care Exchange, is the only no-load settlement in the market today. We pay a fixed percentage of the death benefit as a referral fee to you, and that percentage is 1.75% of the death benefit. Also, by eliminating middlemen in the transaction, we have made the process easier. We speed up the process. It's less cumbersome. There's less pull on you to go out and get medical records, to go out and get information, because we do that. When you refer a potential interested client to us, we do all the work. We're going to get the medical records. We're going to do the underwriting. We're going to do the work for you. We don't want you bogged down by that. We have the company built for that. We have the expertise built for that, over purchasing $3 billion of policies over the last decade. Let us do that work. That's what we're experts at. We want you working with your clients because that's what you're an expert at. And we're a scalable program. Again, you don't have to just once in a blue moon stumble on a settlement and then try to remember to give GWG a call. We support you like a carrier supports you. We have a full turnkey marketing program, account execs, case managers supporting you for every case. So you could be potentially submitting cases weekly, monthly to us to be looking at with your clients. We can be looking at your clients on an individual basis. We can be looking at your clients through reviewing your book of business. But this is a business process that bolts right into your practice and it helps you build that recurring revenue stream so you have a reliable profit center from the Life Care Exchange. And how do you go out into the market and find these clients? How do you bring this program in? Well, first, we're going to appoint you as an agent of GWG. And once you are, and we're supporting you with our marketing materials and our account exec that's working with you on a regular basis, it's putting you in a position where you can work in the market at a retail level or at a wholesale level to build this profit center by helping your clients address their unique financial needs. At the retail level, you're able to put this into practice with marketing materials such as brochures, consumer videos, social media pieces that you can use, email pieces that you can use. You have all the tools that you would ever need to be an effective marketer and educator of the marketplace that you're working with. On a wholesale level, we also offer a policy review service. So if you have a book of business, we can go through your book of business with you and analyze on a larger scale how many policies are on your book that might qualify today for a settlement to catch as many of your clients and rescue their policies before they would lapse or surrender them. We'll look at books of business that are tens of thousands of policies, analyze it for you, and come back to you with an analysis that says, here's X number of policies that potentially will qualify for this for you to be able to then work with using our tools to reach out to your clients. So how do we move forward from here? How do we get you started? Well, we're going to start by appointing you. We want to appoint you under our license. Because we're a licensed life settlement provider, we can appoint you to be an agent of ours, and that means you're under our license. You don't have to go out and get any special licenses because you're covered by our license. Also, once you're an appointed agent of GWG, you're also covered by our E&O. Most agents' E&O does not cover them for doing life settlement transactions. But once you're an appointed agent of GWG and you're under our license, you're also under our E&O. So you can go out into the marketplace and be completely covered as a representative appointed by GWG. Again, we then set you up with all the marketing materials you need, and then you're in a position to earn that referral compensation based on the death benefit of the policy that you would submit to us. Again, 1.75% of the death benefit, as well as for term policies that we're going to convert. That term conversion compensation is also available to be part of your compensation. So again, this is a no-load settlement. There's no brokers involved. It is you working directly with the biggest buyer in the market, providing you a turnkey settlement solution that is consumer-friendly, has a number of different options that you can pick from in the Life Care Exchange package.
No, sorry, I'm listening to a conference call.
And it puts you into a position to build this profit center
music
with
is fine.
GWG. So I'm going to stop here.
I don't have a speaking part.
Now.
I'm just listening.
Hey, Sam, hi, how are you? And so we're going to move into Q&A. Justin, if you'd like to queue us up for some Q&A, I'm looking forward to addressing people's questions. We'd love to encourage you to follow up with us to get appointed. Visit us at agents@gwglife.com and email us there, or contact us 855-713-9904. And we would be happy to start the process of getting you appointed, answering your questions, share materials with you, anything you need. We're looking forward to working with you and setting you up in the Life Care Exchange program and getting you out there to help as many seniors as you can before they needlessly abandon a life insurance policy.
Very good. Nicely done, Chris. Good stuff there. And we have a handful of questions actually that have come in over the course of the presentation. So I will I'll get started and start throwing them at you here, Chris.
Sounds good.
All right.
Let's go to the lightning round.
Lightning round for Chris here. Okay. Why would an agent submit a case lead directly versus working with a life settlement broker?
Well, it's a very good question. And really the crux of what the Life Care Exchange is all about. Now, you certainly have all the right in the world if you want to go out and work with a life settlement broker, but there's a couple of things you need to have in mind. One, if you're going to broker a case with a life settlement broker, you yourself have to be holding a life settlement broker's license and the appropriate E&O coverage. Two, remember, the life settlement broker is going to take a commission out of the offer, which can be as much as a third of the offer. We are eliminating the need for an agent to go out and get a special license, to go out and get their own E&O coverage, because they're going to be covered under us as an appointed agent. We are eliminating the need for a commission to be taken out of the offer going to the client, because we're paying a fixed referral fee to the agent. So the agent knows on day one, when they submit a case, what they're going to be getting for comp. On that example of $1 million case, the agent on day one knows if that closes with no commission coming out of the offer to the client, they're getting $17,500 as a referral fee. If it's a term policy that's converted, they're also getting the term conversion compensation. So it becomes a matter of, do you want to preserve as much of the offer to the client as possible? Do you want to get yourself bogged down with the need to get licensing, E&O, go out, get medical records, and do all that work that you ultimately need to do, and extend the time that it takes because brokers are, they have their own process. They're out doing what they do. And quite frankly, remember this, us, GWG, being just about the biggest buyer in the market, and certainly in the top three on a year-to-year basis, any case that a broker takes, they bring to GWG. We see every case in the market. So you just have to ask yourself, would you rather have the case and bring it to us directly and earn 1.75% of the death benefit as a fixed fee with all of the offer going to your client? Or would you like to give it to a broker who's then going to come to GWG and we'll bid on it, and they'll then take a brokerage commission out of the offer that you then will present to the client, and you also have to make sure you have all the appropriate licensing, and then after the case, all the right reporting and everything else that you have to be involved in with the state insurance department. We handle everything for you.
Great. All right. Next question for you, Chris. It's and this is good. I didn't really think about this. I'd mentioned we're gonna do a recording and send a recording out of the video replay of this. But we have a question. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation we can use at lunch and learn presentations?
We have yes, we have a whole set of information that you can use with clients or with other agents. If you're out doing lunch and learns where you're working with advisors, we have your advisor kit if you want to build up your referral network. And then we also have your marketing materials for consumers. We have videos, we have marketing pieces. There's a whole host of things, including PowerPoint information that you can use. So you have a complete package to be able to take this into your practice to either be educating referral sources, other professionals, or the consumer direct.
Great. Awesome. Here's the next question for you, Chris. What is the structure of the long-term care benefit? Is it like an HSA account?
Yeah, it's similar. It is a bank trust account. It's an irrevocable, FDIC-insured bank account. It's held by Bank of Utah. The long-term care benefit structure has been in existence and in the market for about a decade now. It's something actually that I created. It's accepted by and recognized by long-term care service providers across the country, home care companies, assisted living companies. Big assisted living companies like Brookdale Senior Living, Sunrise Senior Living are all familiar with and have been using this program for years as a way to help families pay for care. Elder law attorneys, very familiar with it. So think of it kind of like a protected checking account almost, although here's some differences. The money, when it goes into the account, is irrevocable. It stays in the account, and then it is directed by the account owner, the family, the insured, to pay whatever amount is needed on a monthly basis direct to the care provider. So somebody moves into a Brookdale Senior Living community, it's going to be $5,000 a month. The account is paying the Brookdale Senior Living community $5,000 a month. Now, one feature I haven't mentioned yet that you want to be aware of is, let's say there was $100,000 in the account, the person dies, and there's still $50,000 sitting there. Well, for every account, you name account beneficiaries. So that can be one or more people. And if the person dies and there's a balance in the account, that is paid to the account beneficiaries on a tax-free basis if the account beneficiaries are below the estate tax threshold, which is on an individual basis around $11 million of estate value.
All right. Excellent. Let's see. We've got another one. It says, can you explain how you can actually help our practice figure out who to reach out to with these opportunities? How do we find the opportunities in our existing book of business?
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying towards the end of the presentation. There's a retail and there's a wholesale strategy here. And it really starts with committing to using this as a financial tool in your toolbox, just like you do with life insurance or long-term care insurance or annuities. And let me ask you this question. How much insurance do you think you would sell on an annual basis if you waited for people to call you to ask to buy insurance from you? I think the answer is close to zero. Well, and that's the approach most agents have when it comes to settlements. It's something they don't think about, they don't talk about until once in a blue moon somebody calls them and says, hey, I saw one of these ads, or I heard about this settlement thing. Do you know anybody that can do something with it? And then you try and remember 2 years from now this webinar you were on, and who were those guys that were talking about this whole thing about settlements? Well, the way to be successful in this is to, one, realize who the market is, and this is seniors. The older and sicker they are, reverse underwriting. So when you're talking to your clients, it's either your clients, if they're seniors, if they're aging, how are they doing? Are they starting to see long-term care needs? Are they looking at potentially going on to long-term care claim if they have long-term care insurance? Or are they declined? Have they looked into purchasing long-term care insurance or life insurance and there's automatic declines? Those are people that are potential prospects. Reaching out to referral partners like elder law attorneys, estate planning attorneys, accountants, people who are working at facilities like Brookdale Senior Living Facilities, who are talking to families every day that are trying to figure out how are they going to pay for long-term care needs. Because remember, most people have not planned for this, but a lot still have life insurance policies. So understanding who that market is, looking for those referral sources, committing to using this in your practice, and not looking at it as some rare exotic transaction. It's a very, very mainstream transaction now. Seniors every day are becoming more and more aware of it. Other professional classes are becoming more and more aware of it, and you want to add it to your product portfolio, in your materials, on your website, in your presentations, in your social media. And then on a wholesale basis, if you have a book of business, talk to us about looking at your book of business. We'll analyze it for you completely blind. We don't need to know who the policyholders are. We're not going to be reaching out to anybody. You just share with us policy data information. We'll crunch it for you and come back and say, great, you showed us a spreadsheet of 5,000 policies. Well, here's 2,000 of them that look like they could qualify. Let's talk about how we can help you reach out to these policyholders. We have agents who are doing that now that are generating six-figure annual revenue streams with us, and they're barely lifting a finger. They've sent us a spreadsheet. We've analyzed it. We're reaching out with them to their policyholders, and before they lapse or surrender, they're asking for a free valuation of their policy, and we're settling their policies for them, and these agents are taking their referral fees and their term conversion compensation and have added very healthy six-figure revenue streams to their practices. And we can help you do that too. We're the experts, and we have the team, the resources, and the toolkit for you ready to go.
Great. And it looks like we've got one last one here, and how long does it take for a case to close?
Great question. As I said, we streamline this process because we're the buyer. So it's our underwriting, it's our pricing, it's our people doing the work. So from start to finish, the average time for us to get a case done, from the time we get a lead in until it's closed and compensation, the payment goes to the policyholder, they're either taking cash or enrolling in one of the other exchange options, and compensation goes out, is anywhere between 60 and 90 days. The big variable in the time frame is how long it takes to get medical records if we need to get medical records. Now, if it's a smaller case, under $1 million of death benefit, oftentimes we can just skip medical records and price based on a phone interview, and that transaction can be done very quickly. If it's a larger case, above $1 million of death benefit, a more intricate health case that needs to be analyzed, and we're going to get medical records, we'll order them. We work with the best medical record retrieval shops out there. We work as quickly as we can. The average about time to get all the medical records in we need is about 30 days. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 90 days to get a case from start to finish and all closed up, and all funds have gone to the appropriate parties.
Great. All right. Well, that's a wrap on our questions here. It looks like. Chris, is there any kind of final wisdom or parting thoughts you'd like to leave with the group before we depart today?
Quickly, I'll just say this: that there's an ancient Chinese proverb: "May you live in interesting times." And we certainly, if we're not living in them now, we can see them coming down the pike. And a lot of it is driven by an aging population with unique financial needs. And with the Life Care Exchange, it puts agents who work with us in a unique position for those clients that in the past they've had to say no to, who they get a phone call and say, "Remember that long-term care insurance policy we talked about 10 years ago? Yeah, I need to buy one of those today now." Typically, that's probably because they have a healthcare-driven need and they're going to not be qualified. But instead of sending those people away, you now have one more tool in your toolbox, one more bullet in your holster, and it's asking one question. You've got to ask one question of your clients. Do you have a life insurance policy? And if the answer is yes, then they should be interested in learning how the exchange process works and would they qualify. And then all you need to do is work with us, your partners at GWG, to take it through and get it done.
Great. Well, that's wonderful, Chris. I really want to thank you. This was a great session. I can see we had a lot of attendees. We had some great questions. Really, really good stuff. So thank you so much for taking the time to enlighten us all today. And for everybody on the webinar, keep an eye out in your inboxes tomorrow. We will get a video replay of this as well. And make note of the contact information here on your screen. Any questions or if any questions kind of come up after this session, I'm sure Chris will be happy to address those for you. So with that, we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.